Okay, so today we're going to be doing a rigging demo for Miku version 1. And this is an animation rig that I'm doing that's going to kind of try to hopefully supplement the great options already out there. Andy, Moom, Norm, the Animation Mentor rigs, and a lot of other ones that are out there for free rigs. This is for release, and this is, of course, nonprofit. And, you know, it's just kind of out there for me to kind of expand my TD skills as well as to gain some more notoriety in the animation community. So before we get into this, I do want to go ahead and do a quick disclaimer. This character is named Hatsune Miku, and she is from the Japanese voice program called Vocaloid. And there are a lot of Hatsune Miku 3D models floating around because there's a quick, really simple bare bones program called MMD, or Miku Miku Dance, which basically allows you to take motion data and different models of 3D Mikus and other characters and how to make them dance to stuff. But there are quite a few exported programs that have managed to get them into 3ds Max and Maya and things like that. This base model originally came from a Japanese Blender artist, and it has been highly modified. I have ripped its head off, completely retextured it, redid the skirt, a bunch of other stuff. I'm not asking for any credit for that, okay? All I ask for is if you use this rig, please credit me for the rig. That's all, okay? I'm not asking for credit for the model. This is not my character. I don't hold any claim to it. This is a non-profit project. But I would like to kind of have people know that my TD skills are getting up there. And if anyone sees something they like, you know, I'd like to, you know, hear about it, say, okay, that was good. Or if you have any changes, you'd say, I'd like you to do this instead. You know, we can go with that as far as that goes. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and jump right into it. As you can see, the global control is going to give you global moving. You're going to be able to scale it and position it in the scene. And, you know, standard for pretty much every other rig. Now, when we get to the pole vectors, I want to show you guys something really cool here. This is something that I've done, and this is just for me. It's a really small, little subtle thing, but for me, it makes it so much easier to animate. If you've ever animated and gotten, you know, just completely lost track of your pole vectors, it's really, really annoying because a lot of people have like locators or like triangles, or, you know, sometimes they'll even have just L and R and you won't remember what's what. Well, this is pretty hard to mess up. You have LK for left knee and right knee, and then at the elbows you have LE and right E for right elbow and left elbow. So it's really nice because it's pretty hard for you to lose track of what's what, and they're color coded. Now, another thing I do is I like to have my pole vectors, of course, able to control the knee, but right now it's not following it. And this is really good for if I'm trying to pose it or get it in stance or something. But a lot of times I do want it to follow. So what I can do is I turn PV lock switch on. And now notice that it still holds, but it's going to follow in position. So if I was doing a walk cycle and I was posing my first extreme or whatever, notice that it's going to follow and we're going to get that nice, you know, clean directional point there. But if I was, you know, positioning it in stance or something, sometimes it can be annoying. Let's say I want that knee to kind of stay over here a little more, then I would have to counter animate and get my pole vector and re-put it every single time. So what you can do is you can turn this on and off based on what effect you'd like. The other thing about this particular rig is this character, Hatsune Miku, is kind of a robot, so she's got a bunch of little blinking lights and stuff on her. So what you can do is you can turn blinking on, which is going to activate the transparency key on the transparency of the texture, and it's going to kind of blink the light on and off, so you can animate it kind of blinking or just kind of activating. And once it's activated, you can then go to glow power, which is keyed into the glow intensity of the texture as well. And if you could render view this, you would see the glow increasing incrementally. The next thing we're going to focus on is the skirt. Now if we take a look at the skirt, you will notice that, let's say we drop the center of gravity down, and we're going to get some interpenetration. So there's a couple of ways that you can fix this in the world of rigging. The first would be N-cloth or a dynamic system, which is going to automatically calculate, but you're going to run into collisions. It's going to slow the rig down. There's going to be a lot of problems with that. So what I like to do for my skirt controls is I'm going to use what's called Skirt FK Control Viz to activate an FK system. But you also notice before I do that, this rig looks pretty clean. There are a lot of bells and whistles that you can turn on and off when you need them, so you don't have to see them, and it's not super cluttered, and it's not really going to be too daunting for people who are looking for really basic rigs. They're not looking for all the advanced features. You don't have to use them if you don't want to. But for those of us who want to correct this, we simply turn this on, and now notice that we have the option to do so. A little bit cluttered, but you have a lot of control here. There are two ways that you could fix this particular problem. I could fix it with translation, or I could fix it with rotation, or I could fix it at a lower level. Let's say I go 3 down and then lift it up. But also notice that we're going to get a little bit of penetration into the skirt, so then we would need to lift this out a little bit. And, you know, I mean, it's generally easier to work with the top of the chain there. But it's going to give you a lot of nice finite control based on exactly what you want to do. So let's go ahead and turn this off now, and let's activate the next feature. Notice that we have a strap here. So if we want to affect this strap, this is the way that I set up my set-driven key systems usually. I like to have one main FK controller here. So that's going to do the main motion, and then we're going to get the force dissipation and overlapping motion with a set-driven key on that main controller. And that main controller can once again be turned on or off. Now, let's go ahead and raise this up again so that she's standing erect. All right. Notice we have the hip control here. We have translation as well as rotation. It does not affect the skirt, so we can, we don't have to worry about counter animating that. We can just, fix whatever happens, and we can affect the hips without worrying about the nice swishing movement that we've got keyed on the skirt. And we're going to move on to the IK spline system. Now you have another method of affecting the shirt. Remember before that the skirt was kind of poking through the shirt. You say, well, I want to lift the shirt up a little bit without affecting the skirt. Well, here's another system. We're going to use an entirely different method for morph targets. These are corrective morph targets, which are going to allow us to kind of affect that and, clean that up there. Moving on to the IK spline, if I select all 3 of these, we get a really nice tapering effect here. Or I could select a root point here, and this is kind of like if I was trying to be more flexible and bend, or if I was trying to kind of curl, and we get a really nice naturalistic chest movement here. She kind of pushes her chest forwards. Now, the clavicle system, if you'll notice, can be lifted up or down, and it controls the FK system that we're going to activate here. So, moving on to the IK-FK switch, notice that we have standard IK here, where this, controls the elbow, which is very nice. But also, if I come here and I say IK to FK switch, notice how the clavicle now controls this entire arm here. So I don't have to key this and then try to pull it up and get it in position. Translation is blocked out, and the only thing we have is rotation because this is a full FK arm. You have full range of motion in all joints, so in case you want to do breaks or, floppy arms or something like that. And you have the ability to use a forearm twist. Most IK tutorials, IK-FK switching tutorials, did not account for forearm twists, so this is a system that I have had to figure out how to make this work. Another interesting thing is the way that I do the rotation. If this was a standard IK-FK switching rig, this would not be able to rotate, and when I bring this down, it wouldn't get this nice plant. It would actually rotate with it. So notice that I can actually rotate the IK controller, and it's going to rotate along with it. And the way that does that is you notice that this main rotation controller, which is the FK controller, as well as holding all of the attributes, is actually animated via parent constraint to the IK. So the IK is driving this, which gives it its rotation ability. And this gives us a really nice anti-gimbal defense. Notice that if we come down and then we rotate forwards and then we come up, okay, we have gimbaled. Notice that this axis is now matching with the other one, and you can play with the rotate order if you'd like to try to fix that, but it's pretty difficult. It gimbals here quite a bit, but by selecting this, we now have that z-axis that we wanted anyway, so it gives us a whole nother level that we can activate. And we also have this here. In addition to that, if we came up here and we went through the sleeve here, because it can move freely independently of the sleeve here, we would need to be able to fix that. So we go to our next level of control, sleeve FK control, which activates this. So now I can actually clean this up a little bit, and you can animate the material being pushed backwards, and you can kind of get nicer results, and you can actually animate the hand coming up as you would like to, and all that stuff, comes out really well. So let's go ahead and key all of that out. All right. And let's go to here. Let's put all that out. Zero all these out. Turn this off, and let's reposition everything. Zero all that out. So we're backing out. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and move on to the next video set, which is going to be affecting the head as well as the hair and the facial GUIs and everything. So this is the first part of the video, and we're going to end out on the tie, okay? So this is the last little thing we're going to do, and then we're going to move on to the next video set where we will finish up the rest of the rig demo here. Notice that the tie can be moved in standard position, but it can also be affected with the set-driven key system. Notice how nice and clean this is now. I don't have 50 different controls going down the tie, and you have to try to select each one to get that nice taper. I have only really 3 set-driven keys, and the rest is full FK here, and you're going to get that same level of functionality with just a lot less controls and just kind of more of an optimized approach. And that's a pretty nice thing. So the next thing we're going to focus on will be the neck, and we will be coming back to the neck, the head, the eyes, the hair, and the facial GUI system in our next video.